Hey friends, this is Miss G. Happy Wednesday. We are in the middle of the school week. 2 more days to go. For now, we're going to start our sight words, our tricky words. Now remember friends, I want you to follow along. I want you to echo. And then you can either write the sentences on your own if you really want to, or you could just follow along. You don't have to. Also, we have a lot to do today, so I want to make sure that we can get everything done. So let's get started, okay? Our new sight word today is the word him. Him, okay? So let's follow along. Echo Miss G. H-I-M, him. Very good. One more time. H-I-M, him. Very good. Now, we know what to do next, right? We have to figure out a sentence with the word him. At home, I want you thinking of one. While Miss G thinks of one. I actually wrote it down. So now, let's go over the sentences Miss G wrote down. I hope you guys came up with your own as well. And this time, what I'm going to do, I left out the end mark, so you guys have to tell me where should I end it with, okay? What kind of punctuation mark, what kind of end mark? Here we go. Gabriel's mommy loves him. So Miss G is just saying it, and that's it. I'm saying it as a statement. Gabriel's mommy loves him. How should we end that sentence? With a period. Very nice. It's just a dot. Gabriel's mommy loves him. And our sight word for today, him. This him means Gabriel. So remember that the him in the sentence is referring to someone. Usually in the sentence, in the same sentence, they will explain. Gabriel's mommy loves him. But not all the time, and that's okay too. So let's try the next one. Did Carmelo give it back to him? Look at the way, or listen to the way Miss G says the sentence. Did Carmelo give it back to him? Notice how my voice kind of went up at the end? That means I'm kind of asking a question, right? When you ask a question, your voice kind of goes up at the end. So, did Carmelo give it back to him? What should we end this with if it's a question? Ding, 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 a question mark. So it's kind of like that squiggly line and a dot at the end. And don't forget our tricky word, him. Did Carmelo give it back to him? I don't know who him is, Carmelo. Just thought I would make the sentence. All right, last one. Milani, call him. Notice how Miss G's voice was for this last sentence. I yelled it out. I was excited. Milani, call him. So how should we end this sentence? Is it a period? No, because I said it with inflection. I said it with excitement. Is it a question mark? No, because I didn't raise my voice at the end. I said the whole sentence loud and excitedly, right? Milani, call him. So how should we end that sentence? With an exclamation point. Good job if you remembered. Exclamation point. That's a long one. Echo Miss G. Exclamation point. Good job. All right, friends. Now the question of the day, what we're going to be answering is, what is happening in home, then, and now? What is happening? Well, what does that question mean? Basically, the question is, what's the main idea of home, then, and then and now? What's the main idea and what is it about, right? You might be able to answer that now, but Miss G wants you to answer it using details in our story, right? We call that the key details. So not just, oh, home, then, and now is about home, then, and now. How do you know? What part of the book said it? Can you give me an example? So that's what we're going to do today. Just like we did with school then and now, for home then and now, we're going to go through it. We're going to make a chart, and we're going to see the difference between home then and now, and we're going to figure out the main idea of our story, okay? So we have home then and now, okay? Now remember, we're trying to think of the key details, right? What are we noticing? Our homes give us shelter and keep us safe. Homes have changed over time. Long ago, families used oil lamps for light. Now we use electricity to light our homes. So this page in particular is the one Miss Maynard asked about and Miss G asked about, and we talked about it in our last lesson, right? So I think this part's about how in the past we used to use oil lamps, but now we use actual electricity lamps, right? So then we add that to our chart. In the past, long ago, they used oil lamps, right? Remember, they used oil and fire, and that's how they were able to use it. Now we use electricity, and that's gathered in plants for energy, right? So while we think of these key details, we also have to be thinking about what's the main idea, okay? What's the story mostly about? So we have one part. Let's go to the next one. Long ago, families kept food in cold ice boxes, right? Now we use refrigerators. So, ice boxes in the past were basically kind of like fridges, but since they didn't have electricity at the time, they would keep things cold by putting ice inside, right? And when the ice melted, they would just put new ice. And they will have to leave it closed for most of the time. You couldn't put as much food. Look how small it is compared to our fridges now, right? So, that's another detail to remember. Long ago, they used ice boxes. Today, they use refrigerators. So we add that to our chart, right? Long ago, they used ice boxes, and here you can see the word ice, I-C-E. So they had this big block of ice, and they would put it inside their ice box, and it would keep the things cool inside. Not as cool as our refrigerators with electricity, but back then this is what they could use. Let's keep going. Long ago, kitchens had wood-burning stoves. Now kitchens have electric or gas stoves. Again, they did not have electricity in the past, so they had to figure out other ways to cook, and that was with a wood-burning stove. A wood-burning stove is exactly what you're thinking. It uses wood to light the fire, and then you can put stuff on top using like a pan or some sort of metal, and you would just put it on top and that will warm up your food. Now we have gas or electric stoves, and on this side you can see one of those examples. Your stove might be white, your stove might be black, your stove might be a little different, but that's okay. It's probably not a wood burning stove though, okay, because this is what we used to use in the past. Last but not least, let Miss G go over. This book is much longer, but Miss G wanted to cut it short so that we're not spending so much time on this part because we have other things to do, okay? Miss G's listening to you. If you want it shorter, Miss G is trying, okay? So our last part is, long ago, homes had outhouses, right? Now, homes have bathrooms with indoor toilets. So, looking at our pictures, who remembers another word for this, for the outhouse? Ding, ding, ding. If you remember it, great. If you don't, that's okay. It was also called a Johnny house, just like in our story when I was young and in the mountains, okay? So these outhouses were just holes in the ground, okay? Again, no electricity back then and no plumbing. So they had to do something a little different. And Miss G found a picture that could help us understand what that means. So looking at the picture of the outhouse, and let's make that one a little bit bigger actually. Let's look at this Johnny house. We're gonna make it really big. So this is showing you the inside of the Johnny house. And in the inside where you see that hole, that is where you would go to use the bathroom. So it was just a wood seat. You will lift it up, kind of like our toilets now, but the hole will just go into a box at the bottom, okay? As opposed to now, when you flush, it goes all the way into a sewer. They didn't have it back then. They didn't know about it, and that's why they have this instead. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind that this is about how America changed over time, right? How home then and now has changed over time. So most likely in America, people aren't using these things. We all live in America, so that's why we're learning about it. But please, please keep in mind that there's people out there, especially in other countries, who still use these things. Even maybe some people in America too. And that's okay. That's completely okay. It's just another way of doing things, okay? So in our past, especially New York's past, we don't use these things anymore. But in certain parts of America, and definitely other parts of the country, they still use these things, and that's okay. All right? So don't get confused if you hear, let's say, your mommy talking about it or other teachers and say, hey, wait a minute. I thought that was in the past. It could still be used today, for sure. But us in New York especially, that was kind of our past. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now, we went over the details, right? We learned about long ago there was oil lamps. Now there's electricity. Long ago there was an icebox. Now there's refrigerators. Long ago wood burning stoves. Now electric stoves. Long ago Johnny houses, and now we have toilets. So what do we think the main topic is of our story? I want you to think about that now. It might be a little hard, but that's okay. Just think about, what's this whole thing about? What are we learning? Well, wait, one of your answers could have been, is that this is about home in the past and home now, right? Basically how home has changed over time. That's the main idea right there. If you answer that, great job. It's just how home has changed over time, okay? Now, do you remember if this is an informational text or a storybook? I'll give you an example of a storybook. A storybook is like the Three Little Pigs. Do pigs really talk? No. Do wolves really talk? No. Do pigs actually build houses? No. Was it real pictures of real pigs? No. So storybooks are more about a fictional, not real, place and story, right? Informational text is about the real thing. And maybe it has real pictures too. So what do we think this is? Exactly. It's an informational text, okay? It's an informational text because it has real pictures. And it's actually teaching us about real things, okay? Those are real pictures and real things that happened. Now, why is Miss G bringing that up? Because we are going to write something called an informational paragraph, okay? Now, what does that mean? An informational paragraph or informative paragraph is kind of like the same thing as an informative text or informational text. Basically, is to teach you something. And Miss G mentioned this in our last lesson, right? We are going to be writing a sentence, a few sentences actually, a paragraph. A paragraph is more than one sentence. A paragraph is 4 sentences, okay? This is going to be the most you've ever written, but that's okay because we're not going to do this in just one lesson. We're going to break it down. We're going to figure it out together. We're going to have time. Your parents can always text me or call me with a question. So do not worry about it, friends. We're going to get through this and we are going to have some wonderful shout outs for kindergarten. Believe me, everyone will be impressed, okay? So, a paragraph is 4 sentences. An informative paragraph is teaching you about something, okay? So, they came up with an example, Miss G came up with an example to help you think about how am I going to write this? I don't understand, okay? We call it the topic sandwich, okay? So, the topic sandwich, as you can see here, what do we have on top? We call that the top of our sandwich or the topic sentence. For a sandwich, you need what? You need a top piece of bread and a bottom piece of bread, right? Without both, you don't have a sandwich. You have a salad with some stuff in it, okay? So you need a topic sentence. You need a sentence in the beginning to show what you're talking about, okay? That's what this part is. So that's our topic sentence. Next, we have information. So I want you to look on top here, right? You can see the T is bigger, right? It's uppercase and it's bold. The I is bigger, it's uppercase and it's bold. And the C is bigger, uppercase and bold. That's showing you that the T is for topic sentence. The I know it looks like an L, friends, but it's an uppercase I on the computer. An I is information. That's what it stands for, information. So we have our topic sentence, what we're going to talk about, almost like the main idea of our paragraph. Then the information. Now the information is all the good stuff in the middle of the sandwich. What do you like to put in the middle of your sandwich? Nice. Miss G likes cheese. Miss G likes lettuce. Miss G likes tomatoes. I know some of you might be going, ew, and that's okay. You like what you like, and Miss G likes what she likes, okay? So information in a paragraph is all the good stuff in the middle. It's basically telling you what your topic sentence is about. So we'll read your topic sentence, and then we'll be like, oh, that's the good stuff. Oh, I get what she was talking about now. It makes all the sense. Now, can you make a sandwich with just the top piece of bread and just the middle? No, it would fall apart, right? So, the conclusion is the end of our sentence or a paragraph and the end of our sandwich, okay? Topic sandwich. The end is the conclusion. So the conclusion is what the topic was about. The conclusion holds our sandwich together. So you're probably thinking, well, how does this work, Miss G? I'm not understanding how a sandwich is going to help me with my writing. And I can see that you have the lines here like our paragraph, so I'm confused. Let me show you. So let's think about a topic sentence. Our topic sentence is going to be our main idea for our home, then, and now, right? This is just an example, friends. When we get into it, might be something different. But home in America has changed over time. That was our main topic. That was what our story was mostly about. So coming back to here, that would be our topic sentence. Home in America has changed. That's our first sentence in our paragraph. And what Miss G can do is move that over to the first line. Bam! Home in America has changed, right? Now, the information is the part in the middle that we are going to talk about that tells us about our topic sentence. Home in America has changed. How? Long ago, people used outhouses. That's one sentence in our paragraph. So we have our topic sentence, and we have another sentence with our information. Long ago, people used outhouses. That's talking about how America has changed. Our home in America has changed over time. And where did I get outhouses from? Bam, right here, from our presentation, our slides. So when we are writing, Miss G will go over it just like our last paper, and you'll be able to pause it and figure out your sentences, okay? So if home in America has changed, and long ago people used outhouses, what do you think the next sentence will be? Now people use bathrooms. I know some of you could read it. I was more talking to the friends who couldn't, but that's okay. Now people use bathrooms, right? Long ago were outhouses, now they use bathrooms. Bam! Third sentence. I put 1 and 2 for the information, but all together we have 3 sentences, right? Our topic sentence, home in America has changed. Our information, long ago people used outhouses. And our second one, now people use bathrooms. So now that all makes sense, right? Home in America has changed. Long ago people used outhouses, now they use bathrooms. But when you say a paragraph, you need to end it with something, or else it doesn't really make sense. Home in America has changed. Oh, okay, so you're going to talk about how home in America has changed. Long ago, people used outhouses. Oh, I didn't know that. Now they use bathrooms. Oh, that's true. Okay. Is that it? Is that all you're talking about? I don't get it. So you have to end it with your conclusion, that bun, the most important part of the paragraph. Now, when you have a sandwich, are your 2 breads the same or different? Looking at our picture here, are the breads the same or different? They are basically the same type of bread. I know this one has little seeds on top, but they're not 2 completely different sizes of bread, right? They're not 2 completely different sizes. They're not brown and black and white and blue. They are basically the same thing. So your conclusion, your last sentence, has to be basically the same thing as your topic sentence. How does that sound, Miss G? And I'll tell you. My conclusion says, that is how home has changed. That's it. That is how home has changed. So when you add that to the end, now you have your 4 sentences to make your paragraph, right? And all together it says, home in America has changed. Long ago, people used outhouses. Now people use bathrooms. That is how home has changed. This sentence almost sounds like this sentence, right? Home in America has changed. That is how home has changed. Even the words are kind of similar, right? Changed, changed, has, home, home. Almost all the words are the same too. It's just a little different, like our buns here, right? This bun and this bun are the same color. They're the same type. They're just a little different. This one has a little more seeds on top and it's a little bigger. This one's a little flatter. But they're basically the same thing. So that is the point of our topic sandwich, to figure out how to help us write a paragraph. We will go over this more, friends. Believe me, okay? Believe me, we'll go over this more, but I'm so glad you guys are learning. This is going to be amazing, let me tell you. And last but not least, let's do our shout outs. Don't think I forgot. So, let's go over our shout outs. First, we have Carmelo. Yay, Carmelo. He did Cynthia used the water pump and I use a sink. He even wrote Carmelo. He even wrote a sink. Very nice. Milani did the same thing. Cynthia used the water pump and I use a sink. And she even put the detail of a mirror. Very great. Now, notice how Carmelo and Milani used a marker here to make the box. You guys could do that at home as well. If it makes it easier for you to draw, just like our foundation paper, you can make a box too. I love how they tried their best, even if they didn't have the paper to do the work. Great job, Carmelo and Milani. Next up, we have Isaac. Look at Isaac. He did his chair, a pool, a sun, and me. Awesome job. It says Cynthia swam in the swimming hole and now I swim in the swimming pool. He didn't put the now. I said that, but that's okay. I swim in a pool. So great job, Isaac. I love these labels and the colors. Good job. Last but not least, here we have Layla. Layla has Cynthia swimming in a swimming hole. And I like how she has Cynthia swimming lying down. Very good, friends. So, glad you tuned in. Can't wait for tomorrow. Alrighty. Have a great day. Miss you guys.